Hi guys, it's Kamil here, and yes, it's time. It's time to talk about the International Booker Shortlist. First, let's start from the most important thing, and that is my Booker Sixth Sense. Out of the 5 books that I've read, and to be specific, the 5th one I'm still reading, 4 of them were shortlisted for the International Booker Prize. Therefore, out of the 6 books that are on the Booker shortlist, the reviews to 4 of them you can already find on my channel. I will link those down in the box below and up here somewhere on the screen, so you can watch them if you are interested. And that would mean a lot, as obviously that helps. The likes help, the comments help, all of that helps. So thank you for watching, liking, and for each comment that you leave under my videos, as that makes me want to continue, obviously. And now, with no further ado, let's talk about the shortlisted books, and then let's talk about one major snub. And there's a major one. Okay, shortlist. The Enlightenment of the Greengage Tree by Shokoofeh Azar, translated by Anonymous. That was my reaction when I found out it was shortlisted, as I was watching it.
The shortlist for the 2020 International Booker Prize is The Enlightenment of the
Yes!
Tree
Yes!
by Shokoofeh Azar, translated from
So happy.
by Anonymous and published by Europa Editions.
It's a narration from the perspective of a ghost of a 13-year-old girl, taking by a handful from Iranian myths, literature, history, and its ancient religion, Zoroastrianism, to tell the story of a family trying to find a peaceful shelter in a remote village to preserve their bits of freedom and protect their life in the tumultuous decade following Iranian 1979 Islamic Revolution. It's a magical realism novel, which generally I'm not a big fan of, unless done as skillfully as here. It's a book hugely inspired by Marquez's 100 Years of Solitude. Shokoofeh Azar, the author's favorite novel, she says that she reads it every year. If you want to learn more about the historical background, the inspiration and themes in this novel, head to my review. I will link it down below, or up here, yeah, as I already said. Then we have from Argentina The Adventures of Rijneveld by Gabriela Cabezón Cámara, translated by Fiona McIntosh and Yona McIntyre. And that was how I reacted this time. Time travel machine.
And published by Europa Editions. The Adventures of China.
Yes!
by Cabezón, Cámara, translated by Yona McIntyre and Fiona McIntyre.
Brilliant! I was so happy, really, so happy seeing it on the list. It's probably a favorite of mine so far, which I was the most afraid of it not being shortlisted, as this is quite a niche type of a novel. It's a fantastic witty dialogue with Argentinian foundational epic, El Gaucho Martin Fierro. Fierro is Spanish for iron. Cabezón Cámara took this epic poem and used it as a base to create an alternative, feminist and queer version of traditional epic poem. The language used to describe the nature of the pampas is stellar. Furthermore, the fauna and flora of those big plains are used in metaphors describing characters' emotional states. I loved it, and I was very, very impressed. Then we have a book probably the most widely read so far from the list, and this is The Memory Police by Yoko Ogawa, translated by Steven Snyder. On the unnamed authoritarian island, various objects are made to disappear. The disappearance, and that is what's interesting here, is not a simple physical magical puff and it's gone. Actually, physically, the objects often are still there at the beginning, but it's the emotional baggage, good and bad, that is gone with the object disappearance. And that is the most important part. With the objects disappearing, the citizens of the island forget how to name it, how to use it, and then anything they felt towards it. The regime's appetite is unsatisfied, and soon the oppression will only gain ground. The only problem is that some people can't sustain memory. So this is the plot. But this is the book that is driven mostly by ideas, not the plot. And this is what's the best here. The intellectual adventure, the themes regarding the memory, the criticism of current society, its numbness, most of all. It's obvious that Ogawa focused on the ideas, but the plot suffers because of that. Some plot decisions in that authoritarian society are neither logical, nor those should be able to function in such an oppressive society, or those feel like a copy-paste from any crime movie or a novel. Nonetheless, she makes up quite a bit for it, with the brilliant philosophical side, beautiful subtle imagery, and language. However, those shortcomings regarding the plot make me feel that it would be unfair if that book was the one to win. Okay? The last book that I've read, and that was shortlisted, is The Discomfort of Evening by Marieke Rijneveld, translated by Michele Hutchison. This is probably the most controversial book on the list, one where brilliant writing meets violence, sex, and graphic depiction of bodily fluids and excrements, often used in metaphors. The Discomfort of Evening is a picture of a family consumed by grief, set on a dairy farm, told from the perspective of a young girl whose brother dies in an ice skating accident. Valeria Luiselli, introducing this novel, said that it's extremely rare to read a novel while writing is so brilliant that in the first paragraph already, it sets the scene so well. Everything the book is about is there in that first scene. That is true, but what I admire the most is that the story is developed in a way where you are left with the uncertainty of how much of what you've learned was depicting the reality and how much is just a fantasy of a girl left to herself while her parents are unable to cope with grief. However, the graphic depiction of sexual activities of those young kids and violence overlaid with violence is something that will not work for a lot of readers. If you want to hear more, once again, there is a link to my review down in the box below and somewhere here. And two books that I haven't read. Mexican Hurricane Season by Fernanda Melchor, translated by Sophie Hughes, a book showcasing the life degraded by violence and poverty, opening with a discovery of the corpse of a local woman known as the Witch, who offered abortion for sex workers serving the local oil industry. This is a dark criticism of capitalism, and I'm quite excited by this one, really. Then, from Germany, we have Till by Daniel Kellman, translated by Ross Benjamin. Jita Hill, who I really appreciate as a writer, when he was introducing this book, was so excited, telling about its surprising parallels to current world we live in, that I will do an exception to my schedule and will read this one next. Also, Salman Rushdie said that it's brilliant and unputdownable. Till is set in 18th century Europe during the 30 Years' War, with fictional characters mixing with the historical ones like Elizabeth Stuart or Frederick, King of Bohemia, her husband. It's taken by a handful from German myths and legends. Okay guys, so those were all shortlisted books. I'm very happy with the shortlist. Maybe while reading other books, I'll discover some of my favorites, but so far, having the Enlightenment of the Greengage tree and the Adventures of China Iran on the shortlist makes me super happy. Really, those two books, brilliant. Now, the biggest snub on the list is a novel that was a bestseller across Europe when translated to other languages before English. In Poland, where I live, it was also a huge hit in 2016, 2017. I had to wait till Booker Prize longlist to pick it up, but it was widely read in Poland. I mean, I know. I also agree with this opinion that if everybody likes something, it cannot be really that good. But let me talk about it, okay? Later on. But I finally first confirm that this is the book that you are already all thinking about. It's German. The Eighth Life by Nino Haratischvili. Originally written in German as Nino Haratischvili as a young girl immigrated to Germany from Georgia, but this is a Georgian historical family saga. I will go even further and call it an Eastern European family saga. You know, it's absolutely delightful to finally read a book where 20th century history of Eastern Europe is used so skillfully and woven so easily into the narration. I am also very happy that the history of our region, Eastern Europe, will be introduced to so many readers in Western Europe and across the globe because of this English translation. There are some things, though, that I didn't appreciate in the novel, and I'll talk about it more in my upcoming review on Sunday. Now, what I love about International Booker in general is that it not only introduces great literature from across the globe, of course it could be more diverse sometimes, but it still does that. It not only introduces that great literature to English readers, but it also, and that is very important, it brings world cultures together. I doubt that a lot of readers would, without the Greengage tree, learn so much about Iranian history and culture, or without China-Iran learn so much about Argentina's origins. This is what I appreciate the most, and I'm more than happy to continue with my project of reading and reviewing the rest of the books that were longlisted, including those exactly that were longlisted and are no longer on the shortlist. The only element that I dislike really is the editing of those videos. Jesus, one that listens to one's voice so often cannot stay sane in the long run. The whole process of editing your own videos so often is just mentally unhealthy. It's really, yeah. But aside of that, the experience is great. Have a brilliant week, stay home, stay safe, and let me know what do you think about the shortlist. Let's chat down in the box below. Talk to you soon, guys. Bye bye.